is Captain Micah Doering with the New Mexico State Police. I'm the district commander here in the Farmington district, number 10 for our state. I'll be your master of ceremony for tonight's events, and I do want to extend a thank you to Ms. Deb Yost on the bagpipes and Sergeant Justin Anaya with the Farmington Police Department on the drum. And later he'll be on the bugle, so very talented individuals over there. Tonight it is my very distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all here this evening on behalf of your local law enforcement agencies, which include the Aztec Police Department, Bloomfield Police Department, Farmington Police Department, the Navajo Nation Police Department, the New Mexico State Police, and the San Juan County Sheriff's Office. The federal partners that we have here in this area would include the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the United States Marshal Service, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and the Bureau of Land Management Law Enforcement Division. Each of these organizations has a very specific role and mission within this community, and I would also like to mention that we include in our local first responder family circle, so to speak, all the fire departments of Farmington, Aztec, Bloomfield, San Juan County, and then the local state and federal probation officers, the detention officers here in the area, and then of course all the dispatchers that work, keeping us all connected and communicating, sometimes whether we like it or not. They're very good at their job. If you look around, you're going to see every one of these departments and agencies represented here tonight. These men and women work tirelessly around the clock to keep this community safe. Your community, our community. Every day, they put their life on the line to protect not only your personal safety and your property, but also to protect your rights and freedoms as enumerated in the Constitutions of the United States of America and the state of New Mexico. This evening, we're here to remember and honor the lives of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our safety and freedoms. Here in the community of San Juan County, we have an especially tight-knit bond between the citizens and the law enforcement. Even COVID-19 this last year tried to tear us apart, and it really hasn't been successful, for which I'm very, very thankful. In the last 21 years with the New Mexico State Police, I've had numerous assignments around the state, temporary and long-term. My experience has been that this community is extremely unique in the relationship and the bond between law enforcement and the community and the business partners and the citizens. It has really, really, truly been my pleasure to serve in this community for the last 19 of those 21 years. In 1962, the United States Congress and President John F. Kennedy established May 15th each year as Peace Officer Memorial Day. The entire week has come to be known as Police Week, and America as a nation has remembered the fallen each year since. In the year of 2020, the United States of America lost 362 officers in the line of duty. As you came in, I'm sure you've noticed all the flags here in this amphitheater venue. If you counted them, there's 362. Each one is representation of a fallen officer from the year of 2020. Already this year, as of noon today, we have lost 119 officers in the line of duty. Please join me and my brothers and sisters in law enforcement as we remember these heroes this evening. At this time, I would like to ask that everyone who is physically able to stand to do so as we are led in prayer by Minister Solomon Jones of the Aztec Church of Christ. His prayer will be immediately followed by the displaying of the colors by the San Juan County Sheriff's Office Honor Guard and the singing of the national anthem by Mr. Robbie Valdez.
Let us pray. Our Father, we offer our thanks for the men and women who serve in our state with distinction during a period of great peril. Remember today those who sacrificed so much in the line of duty, and especially those who gave their lives. But it is not for us here to honor them, for they covered themselves with honor by their devotion to duty in the face of great danger. We remember them and pray that one day, the day when war shall cease, and the energies and treasures and youth of the nations will be employed to enrich the lives of all of your children on the face of the earth. Until that day comes, grant us the determination to make the hard decisions we must to deter those who would impose an alien way of life upon our beloved nation and deny our sacred freedoms under God. Bless now the ceremonies this hour, and grant grace, mercy, and peace unto us all. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. You can be seated. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Chief Steve Hebby with the Farmington PD. And this was an event that we started 8 years ago. We had an interruption last year because of COVID, unfortunately. We were determined to start this back up again this year. And so I'm pleased to see you all attending tonight. And I know this is a little different venue. We weren't sure what the rules were going to be, so we thought maybe tucked away up here would be a little nicer in case we weren't supposed to hold the event. And then they went and made us turquoise. So not that I would ever break the law, but still. I thought maybe this would be safer. I really want to say thank you to our singer. I tried out for that role. Did not go as well as I had hoped. So maybe next year I'll be able to join him up here and we'll do a duet for the national anthem. This event means something to me. After all these years in law enforcement, there's probably only just a few that do. Police Memorial Day is definitely one of them. Taking time in this community, we've had several officers killed from several different agencies up here defending San Juan County and defending our citizens. I don't think that you just walk away from that and that you just let Santa Fe or somebody in Washington, D.C. do an event. I think we do an event. We recognize the people that gave of themselves here in our community. And even today, as we're getting ready for this event, our officers from Farmington PD were responding. I listened to them for a couple of hours, trying to find a shooter downtown. He was shooting rounds all in the downtown area. Eventually, they do catch up with him. It ends in an officer-involved shooting. Fortunately, none of our officers were injured in that. But these are the kind of things that go on every single day across our state and across our country. And this last year was such a brutal year for law enforcement. And every one of these years, when you have them in 30 years in policing, we've had a few of these, but these are so brutal. And this one was unrelenting, really. It's the only profession that every single person in uniform is judged by our worst moments by somebody thousands of miles from us. So, what is going on in Minneapolis, what is going on in New York City, I get it. And under different circumstances, I agree we shouldn't have done this, or I disagree we should have done that. But every one of our officers is judged by these events. And of course, when you can pack the protests and come out and really show that we're mad at police in Minneapolis, but we're in Los Angeles or New York or Miami, and then we can't attend Law Enforcement Memorial Day, where our officers gave their lives, where their families gave up their loved ones to protect our cities, to protect our communities. To me, it's a sign of a country that's struggling with itself. We have to be able to see both the good and the bad. And so many of our officers, like today, are scrambling around doing the best they can. Now, we always look and we'll see how we did, and we'll see if we did the right things at the right moments, and if we made the right decisions, then we should be judged. Police have a lot of power, and we should be judged. But we shouldn't be prejudged, and we shouldn't be uniformly judged. And certainly, when we do things right, it should be more than a shrug of the shoulders that says, no, you did your job. You know, honestly, our job isn't to get shot or stabbed. That isn't the job. Their job is to do their very best to protect our communities, and I believe every day that our officers from all these different agencies are doing just that they sincerely care about our community and our people, and that they're willing to lay down their life to protect us as a community. And I couldn't be prouder of them in this area in particular. These are the ones I know, these are the ones I see, and I know how dedicated they are, and I know the sacrifices they make. And that sacrifice should not be just shrugged off. It should not be just looked away and under a barrage of criticism from the actions of one or two somewhere hundreds of miles from us. So I appreciate all of you taking the time to come out here, and I know many of us are law enforcement related today. That's somewhat by design, right? Because I told you I was trying to keep it a secret that we were doing it just in case we weren't supposed to do it. So, you know, you can't blame the public for not coming out when we really didn't tell them much about it. But it is meaningful to our police officers. It's meaningful to families. And, you know, we have Brenda Landek here, whose dad was killed in a training incident here in Farmington. There's family members that care about this and care about the fact that we still remember and that we don't forget. So I appreciate everyone who's come out today and taken the time. I hope that we don't get wet, but you know, it was a great speech, so it was probably worth it if we risked the rain. So thank you. I appreciate your attendance.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the 17th month of 2020 at the bat. I also want to thank Captain Doering. He'll be writing Chief Hebby a ticket for violating the public health order later on, which all of you are witnesses to. So appreciate you all falling on the sword there. But it is my privilege to be here, and good evening and welcome to our San Juan County Law Enforcement Memorial. As stated, I'm San Juan County Sheriff Shane Ferrari, and it is a true honor. Many don't know, although the San Juan County Sheriff's Office is the oldest law enforcement entity in San Juan County. It was the San Juan Guard that protected San Juan County prior to us being a state or a county. It was citizens that rose up and defended San Juan County against bandits and the Elk Ridge gang and the Stockton gang. So the close relationship that this county has had to law enforcement and serving in a law enforcement capacity is something that we've always held near and dear to us, and we respect that and honor that every day. As said before, this week is National Police Week. And established in 1962 by President Kennedy, it was to pay special recognition to those law enforcement officers who had lost their lives in duty for the safety and protection of others. Tonight, we gather to remember our fallen local officers. We want to give a very special welcome to the family and friends of those officers that are here with us tonight. Thank you very much. On average, every 53 hours, a law enforcement officer dies in the line of duty in the United States. As of today, as stated before, 119 officers have died in 2021. This past year has been particularly difficult on law enforcement. Our essential role in society continued as many Americans worked from home or lost their jobs and were unemployed due to the COVID-19 epidemic. Law enforcement has always dealt with those who lacked health care or cared less for their health. Our nation's law enforcement officers faced an invisible threat to their safety on every call during every contact, one that easily followed them home to their families. Since the beginning of the pandemic, 474 law enforcement officers have died from COVID-19. If combating an epidemic this year was not taxing enough on our nation's peacekeepers, every law enforcement officer's character was called into question by the actions of a few. Calls for defunding law enforcement, police reform, and strict accountability are center stage. Riots, damage to property, and civil unrest have plagued our nation's cities. Politicians have demonized law enforcement for their own agendas. Yet these same politicians call on the police to restore law and order. Assaults, batteries, and other violent crimes against law enforcement are on the rise, both on duty and off. Anti-police messages and comments by actors and pro athletes are applauded and weaken the sacred trust between us and the public. Now, we've never been against reform. We've been reforming for the 24 years I've been in law enforcement. We've gotten better. Better equipment, better training, better accountability, better relationships with our public. We just want to be called to the table during reform. We are the field professionals. We want to give them better insight about what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, to give them a true understanding of what our needs are and what our training needs are and what we see in the future with some of these things that are happening in our country. Just call us to the table. But every year, every day, our brave men and women in law enforcement put on their uniforms, kiss their families goodbye, and walk out their doors not knowing if they will return. The sacrifice and the hardships they endure should never be underappreciated. Let us never forget those law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty to make our communities safe and protect the freedoms we enjoy. No matter where an officer falls, San Juan County mourns the loss of a peacekeeper. There is not a day that passes that I do not see a vehicle pass me without a thin blue line. That line that law enforcement guards every day around the clock, separating good from evil, wrong from right, and life from death. By you supporting us, it affirms our commitment to those that we serve and the trust you bestow on us. When a law enforcement officer is lost, San Juan County grieves with us. The phone calls, letters, and messages on our social media, meals, thank yous are greatly appreciated. That's what I love about this community. We are large enough to have the amenities of a big city, but we're small enough to care for everyone who calls this their home. Every year, millions of people visit Washington, D.C. to experience the embodiment of our freedoms. Our nation's war memorials are the most iconic. These memorials pay tribute to those who sacrificed their lives during our nation's past wars and fight for freedom. Away from the crowds and the bustling traffic, centered in the 400 block of E Street is known as Judiciary Square. There is another less known memorial. Two curved, 304-foot long, bluish-gray marble walls. Each of the four pathways entrance to the memorials has an adult lion protecting its cubs. The lion represents strength, courage, and valor of law enforcement officers and their protection role. On these walls are the names of over 22,000 law enforcement officers who were killed in the line of duty through U.S. history dating back to the first known law enforcement officer death in 1791. Unlike many of the memorials, this wall is ever changing. In the spring of every year, in conjunction with National Police Week, names of law enforcement officers killed in the previous year are added. Sadly, this week, 362 names will join the ranks. To date, the 119 names wait their time to be added to this year's list. Upon visiting the police memorial, President George W. Bush said, "Carved on these walls is a story of America, of a continuing quest to preserve both democracy and decency, and to protect a national treasure that we call the American dream." I want to thank each and every one of you on behalf of all of law enforcement for your support, respect, and love that you show San Juan County peacekeepers. You are our friends and our family, and it is our honor to serve you. To the family and friends of our fallen officers, I give you my deepest condolences. Your loved ones will never be forgotten, and you will always remain a part of the law enforcement family. Thank you.
As has been mentioned twice already this evening, the current statistic for 2021 is 119 officers lost in the line of duty. The current year honor roll, I'm not going to take the time and read every individual name. However, I do want to relate to you the categories that caused their death. And this is from the Officer Down Memorial page statistics. 1 was from a 9/11 related illness. 4 to assault. 7 to an automobile crash. 63 to COVID-19 and its accompanying illnesses, 2 to duty-related illnesses, 19 to gunfire, 5 to a heart attack, 1 to a motorcycle crash, 2 were stabbed, 6 were struck by vehicles, and 9 were killed by vehicular assault. Here in the San Juan County area, the first known death was in 1882. Since 1882 to today, we've had 9. Of the 119 fallen officers for the year of 2021 already, one of those officers was within the state of New Mexico. It was New Mexico State Police Officer Darian Jarrett. I'm sure many of you have seen some of the news coverage on that, possibly even some of the videos. Even though I did not personally know Officer Darian Jarrett, it's kind of impossible to know everybody in a department of over 650 officers. He was still family. And when he was killed, it affected all of us. Those who knew him, those who did not know him. Officer Jarrett was attempting to place a violent felon under arrest when that felon attacked him with gunfire, killing him. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the flag of the United States of America.